We bring you the latest updates from the Pna Newsroom. More and more business leaders and investors have considered the Philippines as among the countries suitable for foreign business expansions. This was emphasized by members of the Philippine economic team during the economic briefing in Frankfurt, Germany. During the said briefing, the group explained why the Philippines has a comparative edge over other ASEAN countries in terms of investment climate. They cited the country's structural changes, young workforce, strong private sector support, priority on infrastructure spending, strategical regional coordination, and stable political environment. Among those who are present during the briefing are Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan, Bangko Sentral Governor Felipe Medalla, and Budget Secretary Amena Pangandaman.
The fiscal year 2023 national budget and important updates on the structural reform initiatives of the Marcos Jr. administration is in pursuit of its agenda for prosperity. Let me also share a common observation that we've seen in the past days: optimism about the Philippine economy. This is not without basis. Businesses, consumers, and the government all agree that the Philippines is on track towards strong recovery. But we are also aware of the continued external challenges to recovery and economic transformation. Hence, we have prepared and designed our policies and programs to address this. Let me share with you an overview of the fiscal year 2023 General Appropriations Act. The national budget of the Philippines amounts to 5.268 trillion pesos or 94.82 billion US dollars. It is an 4.9% higher than the last year's budget and is equivalent to 22.2% of the country's GDP. Framed by the 8-point socio-economic agenda of the President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and supporting the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028, this budget will lay the groundwork for our agenda for prosperity, to build an inclusive and sustainable economy where no Filipino is left behind. We are determined to ensure food security, to improve agricultural productivity, and the re-establishment of the Philippines as a top exporter of agricultural products. Thus, the agriculture budget has received a boost of more than 40% of its previous year's allocation.
Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte said the Philippines is on the right track in its goal to achieving an inclusive and equitable quality education as specified in the United Nations 2030 Agenda. Duterte highlighted the administration's efforts as she joins in observing the International Day of Education. She said budgetary allocation has been enhanced in order to solve the learning loss and education mismatch. To address the difficulties being faced by the younger generation, she said it is important for the government to collaborate closely with all stakeholders to ensure their protection. Among these are susceptibility to different types of abuse, drug addiction, violent extremism, climate change, human trafficking, gender equality, inclusion, and sustainable development. The department earlier established child protection hotlines in an effort to improve accessibility for complainants.
Following the 8-point socio-economic agenda of the Marcos administration, the Department of Education received the increased budget for the fiscal year 2023 from 631 billion in 2022. We now have 719 billion in 2023, making the education sector's percentage share of the total government appropriations within the recommended 15 to 20%. I am confident that this is only the beginning of our renewed commitment to investing more in education and prioritizing the development of a future-ready workforce.
The Department of Migrant Workers said it is looking into the possible liability of the recruitment agency of the 35-year-old overseas Filipino worker who was found dead in Kuwait. DMW Undersecretary Hans Leo Kakdak said the department is checking if the recruitment agency properly monitored the condition of victim Julie B. Kabilis Ranara following her deployment to Kuwait. He said that under the DMW rules, a recruiter should have monitoring and regular reporting on the condition of an OFW. Ranara's burnt body was found in the desert on Sunday. Before her death, she was reportedly raped and impregnated by the suspect, who is the 17-year-old son of her employer. The suspect was immediately arrested and confessed to killing her. Meanwhile, DMW Secretary Susan Tuts Oples said there is no hindrance to the immediate return of the body of Ranara to the country. Oples said Philippine officials in Kuwait are arranging repatriation while a law office connected with the Department of Foreign Affairs is handling the said case. In our news overseas, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has officially stepped down today from her post in a ceremony in the capital of Wellington. New Prime Minister Chris Hipkins was sworn in by New Zealand's Governor-General at the same time. Ardern shocked the country after announcing last week that she was stepping down from her post. Ardern was first elected as Prime Minister in 2017 and then won a second term in 2020. Throughout her term, Ardern steered the country through natural disasters, its worst ever terror attack at Christchurch in 2019, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, Ardern will continue to sit in Parliament but will withdraw from political activity. She also said she plans to get married to her partner, television personality Clark Gayford, and is looking forward to taking her daughter Neve to school. And that is the latest and the biggest stories from the Pna Newsroom. For more news content, visit our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. We are also shown on the social media pages of the Presidential Communications Office and on Radio Pilipinas RP1. Stay tuned for more news updates. I am William Theo. We tell stories that inspire change. Good day, everyone.